What is the best revenge you've ever gotten? When I was around 18. This girl I worked with teased me on a daily basis about how skinny I was and how goofy I was. She was constantly making fun of my silly jokes and the way I related to others. I mean, this shit was non-stop. One night I had a work party and invited her over. We ended up making out on the couch. We had sex. We ended up getting married and we've been together for around 17 years. As for the revenge, dude, I put 3 babies in her belly. They tore her junk up on the way out. Literally. Tore her junk. I watched it happen. Call me skinny again. I ducking dare you. Asshole manager put me exclusively on night shift when he knew I had a very pregnant wife at home and gave me a poor review despite an inch-thick stack of printed emails from customers saying I was awesome. Fast forward 10 years and my wife works in HR. Here's a familiar voice next door in a job interview. After the interview my wife pokes her head in and asks, was that man's name XXXXX? It was my old manager. Let's have a chat about him. She says to the interviewer, he didn't get the job. When she told me, I was happy for a month. Mainly because he'd never know it was my wife that completely ducked him over. When I was in 7th grade there was a boy who started spreading rumors that I blew him. My revenge may have been a bit too cruel. But I mean, that was a big deal in middle school. I told his mother. I even teared up a little bit for effect when I told her the story. She went home, beat the shit out of him, and I got a phone call apology. Duck you Evan. I think I've told this story elsewhere, but a good friend of mine did a similar thing. She was out at a bar with her girlfriend, and this guy came up to try to chat her up, and without even saying hello, grabbed her ass. When she told him that wasn't cool, he started doing the whole "oh, come on, you should take it as a compliment" thing. So she decided to get revenge. She immediately put on her most vapid, flirty expression, asked him to buy her a drink, teased him, etc. After about 15 minutes of playing him like a fiddle, she asks if she can borrow his phone to call another friend. Instead, she goes outside, looks through his contacts, and calls his mom. She then proceeds to ask this woman if she had raised her son to assault women and touch them without their permission. The mom went really quiet, and then asked my friend to hand the phone to her son. Apparently, his face as the mother started screaming at him was all the revenge my buddy needed. My brother had just turned 16, got his license, got a car from my parents, and trashed his bicycle because he didn't need it anymore. I was 13 and my bike was what got me around. My brother is an asshole that gets grounded a lot. Grounded from the car too. He would then just help himself to my bike. After many warnings I took matters into my own hands. I loosened the handlebars on my bike. Seeing the handlebars pop off the bike and him eating street was a glorious day in my revenge book. My old neighbor is a dumb crusty asshole that will fly off the handle at any chance he can get. One night he lost it because I parked in front of his house for an hour. We exchanged choice words. A couple times he threatened to kill me, knowing full well that he's a small business owner. I went home and signed his personal and business email up for thousands of mailing lists. The process was fairly slow at first until I found the FDA mailing list site that will let you sign up to 2,000 plus mailing lists. I added his business address to computer security lists, retail lists, porn lists, you name it. I was furious when I started the whole process, but after 2 hours of this, I had worked myself into a calm, trance-like state. Does the punishment fit the crime? I don't know. But if you are going to be a dumb twat, you deserve to have unfavorable things happen to you. When I was about 14 years old, my friend and I were really into Yu-Gi-Oh and would get pumped after every episode we saw. So anyway, this one time after we finished watching an episode we decided to play for keeps. After a heated 1-hour game I managed to squeeze out the W. My friend is obviously upset and grabs my rarest cards and chucks them into his turtle tank. He had a snapper, That turtle ducked my cards up. So at this point I storm out of his house and devise a way of getting back at him. It's then that I remember he liked chocolate. So I proceed to poop onto a napkin and cut it into several small bite-sized pieces. I then roll them up into small milk dud shaped gonads and pack them in a Ziploc bag. The following day I meet up with him and offer him some chocolate. He ate an entire nugget before he realized that he had eaten my poo. I am not a bad person. But when you duck with a 14-year-old's YUGO. Yelv ducked up his childhood. TLDR, my friend destroyed my YUGO cards and I gave him poo chocolates in return. I had the most evil teacher in 2nd grade. She hated me more than anything. So one day I raised my hand and for about 30 minutes she didn't call on me, but I was persistent. My hand got so tired but reluctantly she called on me. I already knew what I was gonna say. I was stretching. She looked at me for 2 seconds then started to shake in anger. You could see goddamn veins on her temple. She put me on red that day. But I know it ruined her day. I had a similar teacher at around the same age. One day in the middle of class I started to feel really ill. Like I was going to throw up. I raised my hand to say something, however as usual she ignored me. After 30 seconds or so I hurled on her feet. Carrot colored revenge was served. My brother was a massive asshole to me growing up. We moved to a new town and I made friends while he fell into drugs. He tried to keep doing the dickish older brother thing. Finally one night at dinner when he was laughing at me because of something nerdy I said, I just replied, I don't give a duck what you think of me. I have friends. The snide look on his face just dropped. I know it sounds like a small thing, but it was a turning point in our relationship and was extremely satisfying. Back in college, I lived in the fraternity house and shared a bathroom with several other guys. I noticed my bottle of cologne went dry much faster than it normally did. I started to take my toiletries back to my room since then. Before I did though, I pissed in the empty bottle. Throughout the semester I'd take note of the fill line and how it got lower and lower. I finally told my sweet mates they'd been spraying themselves with my piss after I moved out. TLDR, my old roommate smelled like pee. Ex cheated on me. I cleaned myself up, got a great job and went on to live a happy life. Seriously. Best revenge ever. That's not revenge. That's a healthy path of coping. You can do both. For laughs. Yeah, push her under a bus. My girlfriend and I moved to her hometown with my then 2-year-old son. And were staying with her parents while we saved up to get a place. Well, the week before Christmas she decided she didn't want to be with me anymore and called me at work saying, "Come get your son. I've already packed your sheet." I arrived there to find my son in his PJs on the porch with no coat standing next to our things while she was inside with her family and new BF. I had never hit a woman. But damned if I didn't want to then. But I digress. Anyways, we took a bus back home and stayed with my parents. As I was unpacking my stuff I found a customized t-shirt of hers that she mistakenly packed with my stuff. It was a screen t-shirt with a picture of her little sister who had passed away at 8 years old the previous year. And it was the last Christmas present she had gotten from her. When I saw it, I took my laptop outside, set it on a still in front of the burn barrel in the backyard, and proceeded to Skype call my ex. She answered with, "Before you say anything, I am so sorry for WH. Hey, how did you get that?" As I started to douse lighter fluid on the shirt, and then proceeded to light that ducker and throw it in the burn barrel before her horrified eyes. My GF and I are in a very fun relationship and we always like to joke around and prank each other. One time when we were passing by a toddler's section on a department store, she told me she was pregnant. She thought I wasn't ready yet and would freak out. Turned out she was wrong. I was pretty ecstatic about it and she was surprised. She started crying real hard and I thought there was something wrong. Things started coming into my brain like I'm not the father of the child and such. Turned out she was crying because she was so happy that I was ready to commit to her and to a family. But The other reason was that she pranking me cause she thought I would freak, and when she saw my reaction, she couldn't believe it. She felt really bad about what she did and guilt was really eating her up. She was extra nice to me and pampered me that week. I think that's a pretty great revenge. I'm engaged to her now. I used to live with a buddy who was dating this chick we didn't get along with. And by we, I mean all our dude friends. She was insecure, super prissy, and clingy all at the same time. The final straw was when she started inviting herself to guys' night and then complaining that all we did was drink beer and play video games. So fast forward to them getting engaged. She practically lived at the house now and it was high time I got a different abode. So, as my parting shot, I gifted my buddy 4 years of Playboy. I think it cost me a grand total of $24. Worth every penny. My buddy gets to see tits and she gets volcanically mad every time it arrives. And since the bill comes to me, all I have to do is renew it. Sweet sweet justice. I had a girlfriend back when I was younger that I found out cheated on me after we had been dating for almost 2 years. I had worked with her brother and been to her parents' house several times while we were dating and I became close to them. Once I found out that she had been cheating and didn't have any intentions of stopping, I mailed, that's right, mailed, pictures of her naked and blowing me to her parents and brother. She came to my apartment severely pissed off and started screaming at me at the top of her lungs. I snatched her purse out of her hands and threw it out the window onto the middle of a busy street. She did not come back upstairs to continue her rant. I had a friend that would constantly play really irritating pranks on everyone in our group of friends. One day a few of us had had enough of his bullshit and posted a really ridiculous ad in the M4M section on Craigslist with all of his contact information. For 3 or 4 days straight he got nothing but dudes sending him big dick pictures and he couldn't figure out why. When I was in 1st grade there was a girl in my class that was always mean to me. Don't rightly remember how. One day she got snotty with me on the playground. Kneed her right in the chest. 5-year-old me was a woman beater apparently. In high school I had an issue with someone stealing my gum out of my backpack. I ended up painting the top piece in each row with the fingernail polish used to stop nail biting. Hilarious. Kid in school who was a royal pain in the ass. And I hated. Left off to grade 7. I heard he was planning to come to the same summer camp that a bunch of us were going to after grade 8. So I called him up pretending to be another kid in our class, told him I had a cold, and gave him the wrong dates for camp. He spent 2 weeks at camp by himself. Follow up. No, he just took my word for the dates. And the guy was a bully, so don't feel sorry for him. I heard a couple of years later he was out to beat me up, but I have never run into him. Should also point out this was over 30 years ago now and the guy I pretended to be and I continue to be close friends. I've talked about this before in another context, but it's the best revenge story I have. I used to get paid to write essays for people. I wrote all of this girl's applications essays, 8 schools, but she made all sorts of excuses and ended up only paying a fraction of what she owed me. This girl come from a rich family and spends about $10,000 a month on her shopping. She could afford to pay me, but she decided to be cheap and not bother paying me, even though my essays helped her get into a much better school than she expected. I got my revenge though. The school was way beyond her academic capabilities, so she ended up flunking most of her classes and getting kicked out. Ha. So I have one acquaintance who likes to make fun of me in public. A complete asshole. He probably just gets a kick out of it. One day, he is drunk and dizzy at the party and I tell him that I have a cask of Amontillado in my basement. We go down. I chain him to a wall and start entombing him alive. Before placing the last stone, I drop a burning torch through the gap. 50 years ago and still have not been caught. So I was skiing a while back at a local mountain. I didn't have nice skis, but they got it done. At the end of the day, I set my skis in the last slot on the very full rack and turn to go inside. I hear a crash and I turn around. Summer Shat had knocked my skis out of the rack and was placing his own very nice expensive skis in the rack. I turn and confront him. Hey, those are my skis that you just knocked over. What's the deal? Sorry man, I just got these skis. They need to be set in the rack. Can't have them getting ruined, ya know? Plus your skis are really shitty, I'm sure you won't mind putting them on the ground. Stunt. All I could do was agree with him. Yeah, you're right man. My skis are pretty shitty, aren't they? I'll just store my skis over here on the floor. Thanks bro. Appreciate it. I was fuming. I saw the guy head for the lodge. My next move is something I'm not proud of, but it still makes perfect sense to me. Me and this gentleman had just agreed that it was time to upgrade my skis. So I did just that. I gathered my things, minus my shitty skis, and I scooped his skis off the rack and hopped on the bus back to school. He was right. They really are nice skis.